Alberta's proposed withdrawal from the Canadian pension plan is continuing to spark concerns. Ontario's finance minister is the latest to weigh in, asking for an urgent meeting of all federal, provincial and territorial finance ministers. Janice McGregor is following this story in Ottawa this morning. Good to see you, Janice. So what would this meeting aim to accomplish?
Travis, I think what we're watching for most is the dynamics of this shape up is whether the other provinces and territories now join with the federal parties to form some kind of a united front against this proposal from Alberta. Normally, the finance ministers usually meet in December. We don't know exactly when these talks might take place or even where they would be held. The federal minister, Chrystia Freeland, spoke with Nova Scotia's finance minister yesterday. It is Nova Scotia that chairs the Council of the Federation, the group of the provinces and territories right now. But also Alberta's finance minister, Nate Horner, wrote to Chrystia Freeland offering to host the talks on his home turf in Calgary. Horner said he'd welcome all good faith, rigorous analysis of the withdrawal formula that Alberta put forward. Remember, Alberta released a consultant's report a few weeks back. It calculated that Alberta alone would be entitled to more than half of the total assets invested in the Canada Pension Plan right now. Chrystia Freeland was in Alberta for a separate announcement of her own yesterday, and she told reporters she is not buying that math.
We don't think that number is right. And I would note that the Ontario Finance Minister, Peter, in his letter, focused on the need for rigorous analysis, and I agree with that.
And if Alberta were to hold a referendum on pulling out of the CPP, Freeland said it has to be based on facts, she said, and well-informed.
Okay, so Peter Bethlenfalvy, the Ontario Finance Minister, he's going to be having a news conference a little later this morning to talk about this. Let's talk about Danielle Smith, though, who did not run on this, but she has not said yet whether or not she's calling a referendum. As you mentioned, Janice, that could be something that we see. When might that happen in the province?
Yeah, because Smith was out yesterday talking to the Chamber of Commerce in Edmonton. Reporters obviously had a lot of questions about how this is going to work. She said yesterday her government would not proceed to a vote until the numbers had been nailed down and they knew exactly kind of what kind of figures they'd be dealing with. Here's Danielle Smith.
We've asked the federal finance minister if she opposes our interpretation to give us in writing what she thinks the proper interpretation of the act is. If need be, I guess we'll have to ask the court to decide it. But I think that people need to know what that dollar amount is.
So, Travis, this is shaping up to be another big fight brewing over exactly what Alberta might be entitled to if it proceeds. Yet another battle that could be headed to Canada's very top court. And it is a fight that could suck up political bandwidth at exactly a time when Canada has other huge economic vulnerabilities to grapple with. And that becomes a problem for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
The idea that Alberta might not just make their own pensioners poorer by pulling out, but impact Canadians from coast to coast is not something that most Albertans would want, let alone most Canadians.
So the federal position on this abundantly clear. For the time being, though, Alberta's premier is not backing down.